Welcome, everyone. My name is Craig Durr. I am the chief analyst and founder of the Collab Collective. Now, we are an industry analyst firm, and if you're not familiar with what industry analysts do, what we do is we sit between technology solution providers and IT decision makers, and we help bridge the information that flows back and forth. For example, we try and demystify some of the ideas that are coming from technology companies so that you can decide whether it's the right solution for you. The other way around is we help bridge the feedback that you have to technology solution companies. Now, I'm excited today because I get to host this particular webinar on behalf of Tata Communications. And today we're going to be talking about UCaaS as a business strategy, not just an IT strategy. So it should be an exciting topic. I hope you take a moment to listen in. There's a lot to learn, and we're going to walk you through why you should be thinking about this holistically. Now, joining me is our expert from Tata, Vivek Kar. Vivek, how are you doing today?
Hi, Greg. Doing well, and thank you for hosting me here.
Hey, for the audience that may not know you, why don't you tell me a little bit about your role, the product portfolio you represent, and how you interact with customers that we're talking to?
Okay, so let's start with Tata Communication. Tata Communication is the largest Tier 1 ISP based out originally out of India but operates globally. We are the largest subsea cable owner around the world. We operate in multiple domain, out of which collaboration and UCaaS voice is a part of the business. We range from network services to cloud hosting to data centers to security to contact center to CPaaS solution. So the whole gamut of digital experience is catered by Tata Communication across the globe. I head the collaboration and the voice portfolio within the organization, has been part of Tata Communication for the last 17 years, and currently head the product engineering and sales.
I think you and I share one of these common things. We've been in the industry a long time, but we don't have the gray hair to show it. So I think hopefully we can share some insights and evolve. Because actually, that's what this conversation's about. You know, frankly, we wanted to start about this, and this is a great place for me to jump in. I think there's a lot of customers that unfortunately still have an outdated mindset of what they think unified communications as a service or UCaaS can provide to them. You know, a lot of them treat that type of solution mostly maybe as a telephone upgrade, right? They're just looking at it from a telephony point of view. But for a lot of organizations, this winds up being the first line of contact with their customers. Although they may not have a call center, and I know you do have a call center solutions that you do provide, what they utilize in unified communications winds up being, you know, this network that unifies not only the employees but the customers in an experience, and it goes beyond just telephony. Would you agree with that idea?
Yeah, so see, still most of these organizations evaluate UCaaS through a IT lens, right? Which limits the value, what they actually realize out of it. What they don't realize is it's the first point of contact for any, whether it's a vendor, whether it's the customer, whether it's the stakeholders, it's the first point of contact for them, right? And every use case is different. What the challenge is, they simply see it as a telephony replacement or an application, just another application, which creates the entire, it's a mindset issue which does not allow the organization to fully utilize the benefit which a UCaaS can offer, right? It is not simply a telephony replacement. It is, every use case is different. The use for in a factory setting is different. The use in a corporate setting is different. The use case in a help desk or a contact center is different. So the use cases are quite different, and enterprises.
I agree. You know, and one of those interesting things is, unfortunately, sometimes customers, well, like I said, they're not thinking about the business value. They're very short-sighted. They think about the features part, the licensing part, but they don't think about the potential outcomes that UCaaS can provide for them as a business. So it's not just this cost center, but it actually adds value to their employee interactions and their customer interactions. And in fact, I think that's what we want to dive into within this webinar. You and I had a chance to kind of get together beforehand, and we kind of mapped out these 4 ideas, which I think are really important, which kind of elevate and show the business value that's possible with a properly deployed and utilized UCaaS solution. And, of course, Tata is an expert at that. So I think you would have great insight to share with the audience about how to move this again, just from features and licenses and an IT mindset to, hey, what can it deliver for me as value? Does that sound like a good conversation we should queue up?
Sure, Craig. Let's get forward with that.
Let's do that then. Okay, let's talk about this first thing. Here's one I think that is really compelling. A lot of people think about, especially in their voice first interactions, of being a contact center. Like, I have a contact center and that's how my customers do it. But there are some businesses that don't run a formal contact center, right? Yet still most customers know and reach out to these businesses by picking up a telephone and calling them. And this is where this cloud-based unified communication systems with the telephony part of the solution winds up even operating a little bit like a contact center. I mean, it's a voice-first reality out there in the world, I think. Would you tend to agree with that for many customers that you might see?
Okay. Sorry. No, a great question, Craig. But the whole problem is we stereotype the use cases, right? What we forget is every industry is different. Every unit within that industry is different. And the use cases for calling within that industry is different. Like if I talk about contact, when you mention contact center, right? Talk about a car dealership or a manufacturing setup. You don't need a full-fledged contact center. There is no contact center requirement there. But obviously, your vendors are calling you, your distributors are calling you, your customers are calling their distributor. They want a unified experience, right? That cannot be addressed through a full-fledged contact center. That's where a light contact center comes in. A unified call routing or a IVR solution or a hunting group or whatever you can call it, right? Your sales guys calling it from a verified number that this is belongs to these companies. Your customers reaching out to a unified number which get distributed to the local distributor. There are different use cases, and I'm only talking about one. If you talk about the kind of manufacturing there is, every industry, every company needs to assess how they interact with their customer, with their stakeholders, with their vendors, and how do they want to implement it. Light contact center is coming into picture with customizable features,
right?
And all these platforms, whether it's Teams, whether it's audio codes, whether talk about any other platforms, right? All of them are enabling calling features so that not everybody needs a full-fledged contact center. Not everybody is a BPO. Not everybody is in service industry, which needs a dedicated 1,500, 2,000 people support desk behind that. And
Right.
they don't have that cost budget and the benefit out of it to run a full-fledged contact center. So that's where the new concept of light contact centers are coming in, or even the flexibility which the UCaaS platforms today offer to allow that calling enablement through trunk group to, hunting group to ICR IVR functionality, so that people can actually communicate and talk to their customer. It's
Right.
very important. And as the first point which we discussed, right? It's very important. And as the first point which we discussed, right, is the enterprise has to look beyond it as a telephony replacement. They have to find it's the first point of contact for their customer, for their stakeholders. They need to design their workflow and effectively design a solution according to that. And with the evolution in the platforms, in the managed services capability of service providers like Tata.
You guys have a great portfolio around that. And I think you hit a really key point. As a business, the way you interact with your customers really impact your brand perception, right? And like, you may not think of yourself as a call center or a contact center centric business. But again, if that customer is reaching out to you, whether it be through a telephony solution, or otherwise, but the way that they experience that becomes important. And you're right, it's really great that these platforms, Teams, WebEx, Zoom, are integrating these call center light features in their UCaaS solution. I think it's very important to think about this, that this is not just about chat or video calls with your employees. This also enables a frontline experience for a lot of your customers when they're coming in. And it's an important reality of how this is a great example of business value beyond just connecting your employees. I think it's a good idea.
Not true. And see, even from an employee perspective, right? Once a very important point which we ignore is the privacy of the employees. Not everybody is comfortable sharing their private numbers with their business, their business colleagues or associates, right? So today, if I wanted to set up a meeting with you, and I would say talk to my assistant there, I I would think twice about sharing her personal mobile number with you, right? If they had a proper business number, not only it looks like professional, that obviously this person has a professional setup, you can reach over a UCaaS platform, message her, give her a call on the business number. It maintains your privacy but also gives you a professional view of the business, that the business is.
I think actually that's a great segue to what you and I mapped as being probably our second business value that I think people should recognize when they're looking at an UCaaS solution, what this can actually implement. We characterized it as hybrid and mobile first work expectations, but you had a great use case. It's the idea that I have one method of communicating and connecting to someone, whether they may be, whether it be at their home, their office, their mobile, if they're frontline workers, if they're in different environments. I think there's a lot of things that people forget about. Let's call it the seamless experience. It's the idea that I, as the employee and as the person making the phone call, can seamlessly and without friction reach out and communicate you at your preferred location with your preferred methodology. I think it's a great value within this. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, true. So, see, there are multiple angles to it, right? One of the point was the COVID was a major game changer, right? Let's not discount that factor. Most of the enterprises before that were operating out of offices. The collaboration within the team members were happening within the office or over a landline phone, which were IP phone, which was lying on their desk. All of a sudden, COVID forced them to work from office. There was security angle. There was how do you collaborate? The work should not stop. All those factors came into picture. The other major element which changed the landscape is most of these companies are now going multinational, right? Earlier, the operations were all regional. They were each within the organization, each different regions were having their own setup on premise, whether it was on premise or on cloud. Cloud came post COVID, so that expedited the cloud movement. But everybody had their different setups, right? And that's where a company like Tata Communication comes into picture, because it helps the the entire organization migrate to a single platform, a single service provider across geographies. What they need is a unified experience, right? They cannot be jumping around. So, your US entity cannot be on Zoom and your India entity be on Microsoft, right? The interoperability becomes a challenge. How do you set up those meetings? Then you go on a web and log into a meeting. All those kind of challenges started creeping in once this COVID happened, and people started working out of home. People are traveling, they are always on business meetings. How do you join those meetings? So mobility and hybrid became really important, and that is where proper importance of having a proper collaboration solution within your organization, so your employees can collaborate better, becomes, because it's voice. If the regulation varies by every country.
Oh, it's absolutely. But you're hitting a key point. I mean, I think let's look at it two ways. These UCaaS platforms actually do a great job of removing a lot of that end user experience in terms of that frictionless experience. Whether you are in India, I'm in the United States, our other colleagues in the UK, for us to be able to communicate and collaborate in a seamless way. It actually adds great business value in the hybrid, and let's call it mobile first, or whatever workflow you might be as a company. But here's an actually added value, and I think you hit it, and I don't think you are selling yourself well enough, so allow me to. As a managed service provider, I think Tata has great experience in navigating a lot of these complexities, because as you get beyond the technology is there, but there's also regulatory concerns, there's diversity of end user devices that you need to make sure that you have compatibility with. But properly deployed with the experience like a managed service provider like Tata could provide, these unified communication platforms can deliver some incredible business value in terms of creating this global experience that's unified, frictionless, and allows work to move forward.
No, true. So, see, that's what I said, right? There are multiple elements which we covered. First is the use case and the solutioning part of it, right? Secondly, what we covered is the industry specific use cases. Then, what we are talking about is every country has a different regulation. So, the service provider like Tata Communication, who operates around 58 countries globally, can offer a unified solution as a single point of contact for all your 58 countries without having to worry about the local regulation, about compliance, about security. So those kind of, then there are multiple application, right? The biggest challenge today is, today you're on Zoom, tomorrow you want to be in Microsoft, day after you want to be in Cisco. Today the biggest challenge is, and the headache is, how do we manage the migration? When you are having those numbers from Tata Communication in all your geographies together, it's just a click of a button and we can migrate the platform as soon as you take those licenses,
I've
right?
seen that. I've seen the interface of the tool, because it is. You actually guys have some great videos online showing that. It is a really powerful experience. You're like, was that it? Was it done? It looks incredible.
Yeah, so see, it's not only about the tool, right? It's
Right.
what we have actually done is created a marketplace. What
That's
we
true. That's
have
true.
our provisioning tool called Policy Manager. What we have our provisioning tool called Policy Manager, which allows you to reassign the numbers to different trunks. But to enable that, what we have done is we are already pre-integrated and interconnected with all the major UCaaS platform providers like Microsoft, Cisco, Zoom, Google, whatever you talk about, right? So today, the moment you have taken those licenses, what does the provisioning tool does is establish a SIP trunk on the pre-integrated fat pipe which we have with that OEM, and then provision those same numbers to that trunk, and within a matter of minutes your new platform is live. So, and the good part is we have a dedicated solutioning and service delivery team which helps you plan the migration in time, right? And there's a 24-hour support, and we can do it as per your convenience, whatever your less you. The voice portion across the geography. We take care of the application part. We take care of the hardware, meeting rooms. We do the managed services
Wow.
across the devices which you're working on. And obviously, the entire managed services layer. We do the entire migration, provisioning, delivery, monitoring, management, everything to the same platform.
This is great, because this is building this up incrementally. I love this story that we have here.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, what you just said is actually it actually is the way that I think we were thinking about it. We've been building on this incrementally of where the business value is. We first started talking about the idea that people underestimate how important a proper UCaaS deployment is to your customer experience. And now we're just finished talking about the infrastructure part, having a well-designed and implemented, let's call it infrastructure, the connectivity, what's taking place behind the scenes, actually removes a lot of that friction to its huge value, especially partnering with someone like Tata to make it work well. That, like you said, that way, lines are connected, people are found, and whatever. But here's another interesting challenge that I think people need to think about to getting to the next level of business value. And this is the employee side of the experience, and it's the adoption of this. So, one of the common challenges I hear out there as an industry analyst when I talk to IT decision makers is that they've invested heavily in these UC platforms and these collaboration tools, but they're not seeing the adoption of the adoption of the workflows that they want to see take place as readily. So there's something that's taking place there within the employee mindset. Is this something that you've seen in your interactions with customers, and is something that Tata can help customers get over that hurdle?
Yeah. So, Craig, it's an important question, and there is no simple answer to it, right? First, the root cause is the lack of designing and solutioning, right? The first point which we hit upon is every industry is different. Within the industry, every department is different. If you're going to execute a vanilla solution across your organization and expect people to draw benefit out of it, it won't work. So that's where it's important for the service provider to work, co-create those solutions for your organization to ensure that you are providing the right tool, right communication channel.
Right.
Secondly, obviously, it's a matter of training a mindset shift, a work culture practice, which is also there. For example, I'm so used to calling people from my mobile phone. All of a sudden, you give me a business phone, which is on my
Right.
laptop, and another application on my
A cell
mobile.
phone all of a sudden. Right.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
on my mobile, and expect me to start using it. First, there's the effort involved, right? I have to
Mhm.
communicate to all my stakeholders that this is my new number, right? Secondly, I have to build that practice, a mindset that I would now no longer call from my mobile, but from my application, or from whether it's from my mobile or from my desktop or from my hard phone, right? So
Mhm.
it's a mindset change, but the problem is people don't actively talk about the benefits both from the enterprise side and from the employee side, right?
Right.
There are compliance issues. There are, when you use a business number, there is a authenticity, there is a business reputation which enhances because you look more professional. In
Yeah.
certain industry, you cannot call from your personal numbers. It has to be a business number.
Yeah.
There are recording requirement, compliance requirement, which allow. So those communication and the importance needs to be. It's a cultural issue. The second point,
Yeah.
first, is the not the right solution. Second is
That's a
the
great.
cultural issue which needs to be pushed top down. That a business, you have to keep your business and personal side, personal numbers separate,
Right.
because we want to, from an enterprise perspective, we want to track what kind of communication you're doing, what kind of information you're sharing, because
Mhm.
it not only impacts you, but it also impacts the business. The business wants a better control.
And I think the great thing here is that Tata has helped tens of thousands of customers with these type of ideas. And there's a great security technology paradigm where we might talk about day zero before things take place. Day one is at the point of deployment. We're talking day two activity, and it's the adoption, and it's helping employees understand that through training, through clarity, through reinforcement. And I think what I've seen is that Tata brings a wealth of experience to that unique business's use case, how they can get that employee adoption to take place and to improve along the way. Because frankly, this is kind of where the ROI really hits the road. Either you get the employee adoption taking place with this investment that you've done in technology, or you don't. And this is where you need a strong partner to help bring you and your employees and your customer experience along the way.
No, true, Craig. And important part is to choosing the right partner and somebody
Yeah.
who's going to work with you on designing the solution for you, right?
Right.
So the benefit of somebody like Tata Communication, I'm not only saying Tata Communication has those capabilities, but somebody like Tata Communication is, they have a
Mhm.
vast portfolio. So today, with the CPaaS portfolio, the Calera acquisition which we did, right? Do you want WhatsApp integration? It's one of the use cases which you want. You want
Right.
SMS integration, A2P. You want RCS. You want chatbots. You want voice bots. All those capabilities, as a, even though you're talking about a UCaaS solution with me, I have a dedicated team of CPaaS provider who can integrate SMS, WhatsApp,
Wow.
voice bots on top of it for you, right?
And it's great.
So, so
And that actually segues right to this last idea that you and I talked about. I mean, not only the diversity, what you can do through the CPaaS implications, but what you're able to do is what I would call well deployed solutions at enterprise scale. And we're not only talking about the ability to bring in those unique elements that might be required by an enterprise that's operating on a national or a global front, but we're also talking about the idea that Tata can help take care of risk assessments, trust assessments. We're talking about things that are lock, stock, and barrel important to an enterprise if they're going to implement any type of new solution. I, I think it's an important business value that we need to identify.
no, true. So see, first point is the compliance risk, right? As I
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, voice is a highly regulated side of the business. Each country has their own regulation, own compliance requirement.
Right.
What the a typical enterprise, voice is not their core business. It's an operational tool, right? It's an
Hmm.
enablement tool. Their IT team does not have the expertise by country dealing with different operators and ensuring that it is compliant becomes a challenge. That's where Tata Communication comes into play. We have our legal counsels, we have our regulatory compliance solution, and obviously being a Tata company, we have to be 100% adherent to the local regulation. So
Sure.
when you are dealing with us in all the geographies which we operate on, you can be assured we are compliant. Secondly, in our entire voice network, right, when you buy a service, voice services from us, we have a patented fraud protection as a service which gets integrated into your offering. You're not additionally paying for it, right? And what it effectively does is there are multiple elements. We have a robocalling detection system, which is a patented system within this thing. We auto block. You can monitor based on your past trends and analysis. We can raise alerts that this, for example, Cuba is a very expensive destination, $38, $40 per minute of calling. Typically,
Right.
your organization does 20,000 minutes a year, right? All of a sudden, my system sees that for the past 1 hour, somebody is continuously talking in Cuba. It would raise an alert to your IT that there's something, I think there's something fishy going on. Somebody has hacked into your system. There's a spam calling which is happening, right?
Wow. And this is all under one support structure. We're talking about elements such as data sovereignty concerns that might take place. You said regulation variations, fraud concerns, right?
Right. So
Even
all these kind of
inconsistency
fraud. Yeah.
in carrier policies. But this is like a single point of contact, which I love. One support structure through Tata Communications and your interactions fabric.
Right, true. So the entire FPAS system, which we have, and a dedicated team working behind it, and
Right.
the AI/ML enabled system which detect these fraud and robocallings from your system, which automatically blocks and saves. Like what we estimated was we saved around $480 million for our
Wow.
entire wholesale and enterprise customer last year, right?
That is incredible number. Wow.
So that's a proactive blocking. But obviously there are certain things we proactively block. Obviously, we know these number series as a fraudulent numbers, we would block it. And
Right.
certain things we do through alerts, right? Because, for example, the same Cuba example which I'm talking about, you're making a deal with your customer in Cuba, I can raise an alert for you. But if I proactively block it and you're in a important business meeting and I block your services, then you would raise another complaint that your call failed. And, so there's certain kind of blocking which we do on a alert basis, certain kind of blocking which we do on proactive basis, but there's an entire ecosystem which comes into play, right?
I love it. Well, this has been actually a great conversation because you know what I think we've done here? We've actually given a good solid 4, if not more, examples of where people should be thinking about, IT decision makers, of where they can extract business value out of a UCaaS deployment, especially by choosing the right partner in this process. You know, we talked about the customer end user experience, the customer experience. We talked about adapting to a hybrid or a mobile first workforce experience. We talked about this adoption of workflows and how Tata can help address that gap of changing. And we also talked one very important to global organizations or enterprise organizations in any of these industries that you guys specialize in: risk, fraud, compliance, and the idea of having a unified platform to help manage all that. This is a lot of value. But let's bring this around to kind of a call to action. Let's talk about how we can actually bring this back to what you call it. I believe you call it the interaction fabric. Is that correct?
Right.
Why don't you tell me more about that so our audience can understand more about how all these business values can be achieved through Tata in the interaction fabric?
So see, under Interaction Fabric, our entire motto is to create a single point of contact, a marketplace for all your collaboration and voice requirements, right? So what we effectively do is we take care of your voice layer, we take care of your application layer, we take care of your meeting room hardware layer, and we provide an entire single platform, single login support for all your managed services layer, which is through a platform for both management, monitoring, provisioning, reprovisioning, everything, trouble ticket raising, everything to a single platform, right? What we are trying to do is take away the headache from the enterprise, take the headache away from the enterprise on an area which is core for their operations, but is not their core capability, right? We are
Right.
taking away. We become a single point of contact. Whether if your meeting room is not working, whether it's your hard phone not working, whether it's your number in a particular country is not working, or whether it's your application not working, you dial in the same helpline number of Tata Communication, which is available 24 hours, and we would support you with that. And if you don't want to make a call, go to the platform, raise a trouble ticket, and we would resolve it there.
That's fantastic. It allows customers to focus on what's core to their business and the contextual elements. They have a trusted partner like Tata to help bring them through this and actually be alongside of them. Because I think one of the key ideas here is we're not just talking about technology. It's an old adage, but we're talking about people and processes. And to make it successful, you need to have someone who's experienced, who's got proven results in terms of bringing this to a point of going not from an IT cost, but to business value. It sounds like you guys have a great track record to show that to be true.
No, true. And Craig, what is more important is we like to be, why we call this as an interaction fabric is, and it applies to us as well, right? We want to interact with the customer at the planning stage itself, because we don't want to deploy a solution, work with you at the planning stage so that we can deploy the right solution for your right set of people, right? So that your utilization is high, you see value, and we see value behind that, and we have a long-term customer with us.
All right. Well, I think we actually hopefully did a good job of bringing this to light, the value we're talking about. Looks like we should just leave our audience with what some of their next steps are. I think what they can do is reach out through this event portal and find out some more information, or could they also reach out to Tata and explore next steps and how they can actually find an interaction fabric solution that works for them. Sound right?
Right, correct. Thanks. And more importantly, just want to leave the viewers with the last point. Whenever you're choosing your partners, right, ensure the flexibility they provide is crucial. Because today you might be with one platform, tomorrow you want to move to another platform. Today you're on a premise-based solution, tomorrow you want to be on a cloud. Today you're with one hardware vendor, you want to be another hardware vendor. You don't want to build a practice and then get stuck in it, right? So that's
I agree. I agree. Vivek, I'm going to mark this one up. I think we covered this one well. I'm going to check it off in the notebook here. Hey, thank you so much for your time. This has been a great conversation. I know I've learned a lot in the process, and I hope our audience has too. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, everyone, take care. Thank you for joining us, and join us again. We'll have some more updates to help you understand how Interaction Fabric can be the right solution with the right partner for your environment. Take care.
Thank you. See you. Bye.